Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, well, I might as well make another video while I'm on this bike. I want to talk about the film Life, and not the one with Eddie Murphy, no. The 2017 Alien-y type Life film. It's like a cross between Gravity, Alien, and Flubber. Because basically it's just angry Flubber. Seriously. The film looks a lot like Gravity in places. It looks nice, and it's been filmed nicely, and you know, there is a storyline to it, but this film really, really annoyed me. I mean, properly annoyed me. For a few reasons. The number one reason, oh, there's going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen it, maybe don't watch it, but the number one thing that pissed me off more than anything was the fact that all of the astronauts were so illogical at times, they were so emotional, they are not astronauts, okay? NASA doesn't pick, sort of, you know, there's only been a few hundred astronauts ever, and only a couple of hundred people have ever been to the space station or something like that, because it's on the International Space Station. Out of the billions of people on Earth, they pick them very carefully to be very special people who do not lose their heads in a crisis. They do not change their logic patterns, they do not become like emotional wrecks. And too much of this film was emotion driven, and there were so many opportunities that they could have done things to stop Flubber, as I'm going to call it, getting in. I like the way that Flubber evolved, you know. He started out as a little single-celled organism, and that whole idea, that was interesting, that was good. And it grew at a very fast rate, and yeah, okay, we don't know, if some extremophiles, maybe that is possible. However, and the fact that it turned into what was like a starfish was good, because they are a very simple life form, and they've been around a long time, and it would make a lot of sense if these life forms, alien life forms, if they are around, would be like that. Obviously, yeah, it evolved throughout the film. It got bigger and bigger, and then it got a face. And I mean, it felt a bit like evolution. In fact, you know, it's a bit like Galaxy, Evolution, Alien, and Flubber mixed into one film. I mean, it did have a few funny moments, but they used it too many times. The Flubber thing is flying through the air, well, through the space station, and then they close the door in its face, and it's like clang against it. It was funny the first time. By about the 12th time, it was like, no, come on, just stop it. So the emotions of, as I say, of the crew are not believable as people in NASA. They don't act like that. And there was many occasions, as I say, like when it was holding on to that woman outside, she could have done the selfless thing of holding on to the thing and pushing off. She would have sacrificed herself. But by this point, they had realised that it was a real danger and it was intelligent. It's another thing, the intelligence of the thing. Now, being intelligent is something that has to develop. I do not believe that animal, I know it's alien, could have evolved the intelligence that it did with the amount of cells that it did. Cells are cells. Okay, it could be different as an alien, you can argue that fact. But it seemed to have engineering knowledge of the space station. For instance, they were like, oh, how can it get back in? There's only a couple of ways it can get back in. Through the thrusters. And then it goes from thruster to thruster, and there's the whole bit where the needle goes, fire! And it's like, oh, it's in that one now, fire. How did it know that's how it could get back in? I don't know, it's kind of octopusy in the way that it can get through small holes and stuff. But how did it get through the tanks? If it can get through, trust me, air can get through. It didn't get through any airlocks. It made no sense. It was insulting my intelligence. I'm trying to think. There are so many things in this film that annoyed me. I'm trying to think what the other bits are. But I'm also enjoying riding this bike. The ending was predictable, cheesy, and shit. It was obvious what they were going to do. It was set up in the shots so clearly that I didn't even need to see the final giveaway, you know, the payoff to show what happened. I didn't need that. They'd set it up so obviously in the shots. It actually kind of ruined it. I did in ways I enjoyed watching the film. It was a thing to watch, but I, for some reason, expected it to be more realistic, trying to keep to some scientific truths, which it kind of did to start with, but then it just said, fuck you, science. Fuck you, logic and reason. And I don't believe it made it a better film for it. I mean, I'm not going to argue its incredible strength or anything like that, because yeah, maybe alien cells can produce much stronger fibres and stuff, I don't know, but yeah. Couldn't help just watch this film and be like, it's angry Flubber, okay? That's all it is. I mean, then the other thing that really got to me was there are times that it's moving around in space, and yes, you can clearly see that it's throwing itself off of one thing into another one. However, there are definitely times that it appears to somehow change direction or get some momentum from nowhere in mid-air. Well, I'm afraid the laws that say that all actions have an equal and opposite reaction mean that you can't do that in space if you've got nothing to grab onto. Alien or not, physics are physics. So there you go. That's just a few of the things from the film Life that pissed me right off. Now I'm going to get back to enjoying this bike because it's lovely. Catch you next time.